gonna go back to marriage and get part 2 of that. And we don't have that much time left, but shit, we had a good conversation going. So I'm not gonna start with that. I'm looking at my list here. Let's talk about growing together versus growing apart. I mean, that's something that would happen. I think everybody in here is at least 15 years in the game. We talked about last week, I'm 24. Cool is a long time. Quay's 22. Nikki, I think, is 22. Crump, how many?
Going on 17.
There you go. Lou, you what, 15 or 17?
15.
Right, and Chuck is in a relationship now. But you did 10. You did 10, and you got paroled, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want to. Yeah, that's right. That's a good way to.
So we're gonna go with ladies first. Let's talk about growing together versus growing apart. Nikki, what's your take on that?
It takes work, and it requires you to be friends. Because I'm most certainly not the same person that he married, and he's not the same person that I married, right? And so, when you love somebody, there's a certain level of accepting them for who they are, loving them, and not their identity. And so, when you love them and you make a commitment that it's us, ride or die. It allows you to grow differently and respect those differences. Because we most certainly are not the same people that we started out to be. And I'm sure there are things about me that he can't stand in this incarnation of Nikki, right? And I still really like him a lot. So there are things that I'm looking at him like, oh, I wish you didn't do that anymore. I wish you went back to how you used to be. But if I got stuck there, right, we wouldn't be able to laugh and play Monopoly. You know what I'm saying? Like, we wouldn't be able to, and I had to be able to accept changes and also say that our marriage doesn't have to look like other people's marriage. And that's the hard part, because everybody's keeping up with the Joneses, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody want to laugh at Jada and Will, but what they got works for them, right? They're partners.
Well, they are rich as fuck too.
But you know what? The dynamic that they have has nothing to do with their income, right? They have learned I'm ride or die with you. And I know poor people are ride or die in the wrong situations, right? And they also have changed their dynamics. I know poor people who have changed the dynamic and they're happy. And it doesn't have to be swingers, or, it doesn't have to be open marriage. It just has to be, we do what we do. And it doesn't have, especially when you look at the Bible. Look at the Bible, it's like 5 or 6, maybe 20 different types of marriages there. So the idea to think that there's only one way for a marriage to be successful is a very Eurocentric ideology of coupleship, right? Coupling, right? And so I think that part of growing together is allowing people to become wholly who they are, and still loving them despite the things that might not be attractive to you, right?
Yeah.
I want somebody to love me because I got these little belly rolls. I had a little flat one back in the day. Now it's not. Praise the Lord. He still likes me. Like that.
That's good stuff. Prompt, to pick it up. What you got? Growing together versus growing apart.
Well, I agree with a lot of what Nikki said. I think that it does take a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort. And because at some point, you start drifting, and it's up to you, both of y'all, to kind of try to put it back and get back on track. And that, especially when you've been with someone for a while, it can get to that point. And I think that it comes in cycles. I mean, it might be a situation where you're even during your marriage, there's, 3 months on, 3 months off, where things are going well, and then all of a sudden things are drifting, and then you got to go back and work it and try to get it back on. And because marriage, I think that's the hardest part of being married, is trying to get that back, get things back on track to where they were before, because you're always going to be drifting off to the side. And so are you willing to work at it to where you get back on track? And some people aren't, some people are. And I think that probably determines the success of the marriage, because it's not going to be, it's like life. Life is not a straight line. It's a zigzag. It goes right, left, beyond right, beyond left. And then hopefully you get to a destination. And that's what marriage is, really. And so I think that a lot of people, especially, I think maybe it started with our generation, maybe younger or whatever. I think that it's so easy to give up, to give up when things start going right, start going astray. Because we're in a microwave society where everything is like, I want this now. And if you can't do it right now, then I'm gonna go somewhere else and get someone who can give it to me right now. When really the situation should be, all right, damn, it's drifting. So now how do I pull that steer back over to the left to get it back? And that steer doesn't have any, steering fluid. So it's hard. I got to work my muscles to get that thing back on track. And so, I don't think people talk about that too much, but I think that's where, that's essentially how it has to be if you want to be successful. And by no means, it's not easy.
Gotcha. Lou, what's up?
I think what's been said is true. I think one of the things that I've learned is this goes through beyond just growing apart and it's communication and compromise. At her core, like Nikki said before, we're both have transformed a little bit. At the core, we're still the same people. And that's who I committed to 15 years ago. So that's my ride or die. And if she communicates something to me, it's some genuflection that has to be going on with me, saying, okay, this is her perspective on it. Might not be mine, but let me take a step back and absorb that and process it. And if I say that's my ride or die, and I got to live it. So, it might take some work. It might not be my, my optimal, this is what I want. I think we touched on this last episode. My 5 out of 5, my 10 out of 10. She's as close as I've gotten to a perfect score. So,
And she's your wife.
This is something I'm not going to go too deep into it, but when people say for better or for worse, good health or worse, a lot of motherfuckers got to wait till the end of, towards the end of life to find out if that person is going to do that for them. Unfortunately, I was put in a situation earlier than most where the chick was there riding for me hard, unquestionable, like a soldier. This chick tell me, Lou, you bugging. I got to fucking listen. And I expect the same for her. And we've had conversations like that, and that's all it is. It's a conversation and willing to listen. And if you're dedicated, you make the change. Nobody's asking anybody to become someone that they're not. It's just see what I'm saying and walk with me. That's all that's being said.
That's what's up. Quasi, give me something.
Well, I think anybody, again, who's been in this game over a decade knows that it's in and out. It's ebbs and flows to marriage. And pretty much, again, like everyone said, I'm going to wind up reiterating it. It's a lot of work. It's a commitment. And you have to dig in. And we all have changed and evolved over the years. I know for me, I look to, like Lou said, the core, who my wife was then to who she is now, how that hasn't changed. And then to the changes that she has made, I've had to learn to live with it, like she had to learn to live with my changes, because I'm not the happy-go-lucky, easygoing Quasi that I used to be, As a matter of fact, I call myself an ornery motherfucker these days. So, I know I'm different, and she's had to deal with it. And I think anybody who gets to any kind of longevity in their marriage have gone through ups and downs, made it through some very great times and some very rough times, but you continue to push on to do well by you all individually, to you all as a couple, to your family.
Now, Chuck, you might have a little bit of a different perspective, but you may not. Give me what you got, man.
Well, it's just a little, man, I again applaud all you all for being in your marriages for such a long time. You know, one thing that Nikki has said is just like she pointed out that you just gotta like me, and that's very important. You know, I think in relationship and partnerships or whatever situationships, whatever you want to call it, it's that you just like a person. You know, all of us on this line right now, we like each other, you know, and everybody is not the same and everybody's different, but we like each other and we can talk and we're going to respect one another and we're going to have discipline to just listen. And so in my relationship right now, and I thank you for recognizing that, Carl, I think that it's just we like one another. We're just enjoying life, just liking one another. We're not, we could pull the trigger. Yeah, it's not hard to pull the trigger, to sign the paper, to get the license, whatever you got to do. To have she had the extravagant wedding. It's nothing I can do to really impress her. But the one thing I'm doing to impress her is liking her and giving her what she wants, and I'm in return I'm getting what I want. So my relationship is great. It's great
Shit. I'm gonna go back to something Nikki said to start out with. She said it's work, and to me, I disagree slightly with that because, like, for me, anybody that knows me, they know I'm the same dude that I was when I was 17. I've not had any growth in life. I'm still equally immature and ignorant as I was when I first got to college. So for my wife, she still is dating this, 20-year-old boy. And I mean, I guess it was some work in there, whatever. But I guess to me, we just had to grow with each other, and just kind of deal with life as it comes and just kind of roll with the punches. So we were able to grow together. And I think a lot of it helped that I had to travel 80% of the time for a good portion of my marriage. I think that was useful. And but luckily, now we've been pressed together for this COVID shit, stuck in the house together for the last 6 months. I think we actually like each other for real. So, moving on. Let's see, I got a list here that I'm going through. So if you wonder why I'm like looking up in space, I'm trying to figure out the right topic to hit as we move on. What is the hardest part of marriage? Dealing with pet peeves, that kind of thing. Let's talk about what's the hardest part to deal with. For me, let me think. Yeah, nothing. My wife is perfect. There's nothing hard to deal with. My wife watches the podcast. So I'm going to kick it off again to the lady in the house. We're going to kick it off ladies first.
The hardest part for me was marrying into a family that was such a very small unit. And I'm from a very big family, right? My mother was the youngest of 14. So, like, I guess in the 70s, I had about 200 cousins, first cousins, right? And so I come from a big, big, big family that's always kind of not in everybody's business, but just like always around, right? He's the only child. And so it's the grandmother, the mom, and the aunt. And the aunt never had any children.
Oh, wow.
So it was like 1950, 1970, and then to my daughter, 1999, right? And that's the entire family. And so there's this dynamic where I kind of come into a space requiring attention that they were getting. And the conflict, and he used to be in the middle of it. So that was the most difficult thing, because what I was not going to do is not get what I need, right? But at the same time, I'm looking at him in his spaces, like in his space that with his support system, and they're upset because he can't give them the same energy, or he can't receive the same energy that they used to try and give him, because they want to take. I want to do, because that's they're essentially, they all went together. That was their boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? How we were able to kind of compromise is that he still allows me to be Nikki, and the things that I can't get from him, I get from my friends, right? And so I have a lot of masculine energy around me. So Luca called me, because I count Lou as one of my close friends. He could call me at 12 o'clock at night, and my husband's not going to look at me sideways. He was like, Nikki's talking to one of her Morales brothers. That's just what it is. And he allows me that space because I allow him that space to be what he needs to be to his family. But we had to grow to that, because I'm telling you, the early years, I was just like, how can I do this? And then, they would say things and I would take it to the hilt, right? Like, I know they didn't mean it that way, but I was going to take it the worst way that it could have been meant, right? Yeah, and vice versa. Like, there was a lot of horrible conflict, right? Horrible. But now, I mean, I trust them with my life, but it took a moment to get there. We had to, and it's still at any given moment they can fall into these patterns. But the hardest thing is just trying to figure out our rhythm, what works for us and works for the things that we need. Those relationships outside of our circle, the two of us, even with our daughter, because I'm a daddy's girl, and my daughter's a daddy's girl. So I understood their relationship. I didn't like it because now my boyfriend, my husband,
you're not number one, right?
Yeah, I got to separate. I'm fighting with another girl. So it's all of those intricacies. The relationships are the hardest things for me.
Yeah, see, I'm a little different. Like for me, my wife comes first, my daughter comes second. But for my wife, I'm okay with my daughter coming first for her and me coming second. You know what I'm saying? Because I got to take care of the wife got to take care of the baby. But, there might still be some old school shit. Ladies, please don't drag me for that. Quasi, come on again, man. Tell me something.
Well, hey, man, I think to Nikki's point, I'm going to use just kind of the global word dynamic, man. I mean, dynamics play such a huge part, given family size, the parental background with people. When kids come into play, you just mentioned, Carl, about, how it kind of differs in your house. I mean, biblically speaking, it's always supposed to be husband and wife, but there are marriages and situations where, the mother does make the child a priority, and I know that was one of the challenges that I had. Not that I was hating against my kids, but when you're used to being your wife's priority and all of a sudden that shifts, that's an adjustment, especially if you're young and you aren't anticipating changes like that. So the biggest challenges I've seen is just the various dynamics and how, depending on what stage you are in your life, how it impacts you, because kids are a game changer. I don't care what anybody says. Your kids change the game. Your career could be going on. There's a dynamic. If your spouse is the only child, like my wife is the only child, Nikki, so I can appreciate that. You know what I mean? Where I grew up with siblings, you know what I mean? And so the relationship dynamics are always kind of changing, and you have to be ready for those changes, when they occur, to be able to, best handle them. The other thing I'll say real quick is something that just kind of came up lately was we've all had, well, I'm going to say me best, I guess, fairy tales of what I thought marriage was like. The reality is, man, whether we are first generation marriage or not, there's no written book on what a successful marriage is and what works for anyone, and what works in my household works for me, just like what works in your household works for you. And so I say that to say no one should look at somebody else's marriage and judge it and say, well, so-and-so's marriage is doing well because they've done this, because you don't know what it took to get to 22 years, 24 years, or however long anybody's been married. So dynamics is the key to me, being able to manage that.
That's what's up. Lou, you look like you could put together 4 or 5 real crisp bullet points and then looking off in space. Drop it on me real fast, man.
Yeah, I don't know about the hardest. There's been certain things that have been required effort. One of the things, I don't know how much stock you guys put in for the personality types, But my wife and I are on the opposite ends. I'm an introvert. I don't need to be around a whole lot of people. She's the opposite. She's an extrovert, likes to be out, likes to go out and be with her friends. Probably really hard to adjust is communicate. I let her, I want her to go out and be who she is. But it was an adjustment earlier in wanting that attention, more of that attention with me. Another thing that was hard was dealing with finances and navigating how we were going to handle the finances. She was or is a only child, comes from a different perspective, where I was the oldest with two younger sisters. So my perspective was different. But I wouldn't say anything was extremely hard. It's just part of the game.
Yeah, that's just one thing. Like with me and my wife, we're kind of opposites as well. But she's more the introvert, I'm more the extrovert. So, it's not uncommon for us to go to an event around some of her friends, especially ones that haven't met me, and she'll have to prep shit like, "Hey, y'all, this is my husband Carl. He's crazy as hell, and I'm sorry."
Yeah.
Which I don't understand why she has to do that shit. Like, why I got to come with instructions and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Manual.
And
yeah,
exactly, right. And then, we go. I think our biggest thing is allergies. She sneezes 600 times a day, and I need to buy stock and Kleenex shit. And then finances, because we think different about money. You know what I'm saying? Because I believe money is to be spent and enjoyed. She believes money is to be saved.
right.
So that definitely creates a conflict. But I got us living here, with condo on the lake, so you can't complain too much. You know what I'm saying? Something's working.
That's exactly what I didn't verbalize, but that's the same scenario.
There you go.
Yeah,
Nick, I think you got a comment you about to chime in, Nikki, about the excitement.
Oh, my dad.
Yeah, here, in this podcast, you can just get it out there. You got to find your nook and just get in.
My dad told me that when right before I met my husband, actually, he was like, "Look, most women look for 85% excitement and 15% stability. They love the guy that's popping. They love the guy that's fly. But then they'll have, he used to say, they'll have 10 kids with 12 baby daddies, because you're looking for the excitement. You need to look for somebody who's 85% stability and 15% excitement. So who's going to be very steadfast. You can trust them. You can all it this way. And people, when you're looking for a partnership, that's important. That you don't just follow the love, right? And when I found my husband, who's an amazing guy, amazing guy, he's an introvert like everybody, but I'm an extrovert.
No,
but he provides me the stability that I need. I require to be able to, and I also have hypothyroidism, a really severe case of that. So while I'm super excited like this, by the time I get in the house, I'm almost comatose. I gotta fall asleep. I work hard so I can pass out. And he takes care of everything. And had I gone with a mirror personality, I wouldn't have someone who could identify where those genteel places in my life that I need. So that's
what's up.
So Nikki, if he didn't, you said, I'm not really clear what you're trying to say, or are you saying that you need someone that can take care?
Did you step away from the camera?
I am saying I need somebody to make my food for me, my dinner, take care of me, to make sure that the things that I need are correct. No, I can pay for myself, but I need someone to take care of me. He spoils me, he pampers me, and I don't mean necessarily financially. He just takes care of my emotional needs, and he makes sure that if I need certain things to feel safe, that those things are provided. But as far as financial things like that, I mean, we're partners, and I mean,
No, I'm just totally trying to understand the perspective of a woman, because
there's not one perspective of a woman.
Mm-mm.
I live in Brooklyn. There's not one particular.
no. But
Get him, Nikki.
you're a woman, and we're gonna respect that. We all respect it. You're a woman with brothers on here. You're the only woman, and right now,
And she holding this shit down too.
yeah.
Yes, she is.
And then it's like
champion.
we are all the way alphas. You're dealing with alphas. You're dealing with a bunch of alphas right now. And
Hey, nigga, we cute.
I was trying to let that slide a few times.
Yeah.
Alpha males.
Shit.
Watch your mouth, son.
yeah. Well, I'm not gonna speak for
But guys, what he meant to say were
Yeah, I know.
alpha males,
There we go.
strong males.
Thanks for your man.
But listen, the bros rule this, man. Come on.
Yeah.
No, but
Well,
at the end of the day, we spoke on it before. Is that I'm gonna ask the question to you, Nikki. If you did not like him, and he still provided all those stabilities, would you still stay with him?
No.
Would you still be with him
She said
right now?
no, brother.
Oh, okay. She said no.
I'm a
yeah.
Velmanite.
There you
Oh,
go.
you still be with him.
I'm fly as fuck. I can get another man anytime.
Thank
Listen
you.
to that. Listen to that, fellas.
You know what I'm saying? He's really amazing. You know, even with his shortcomings, he's still way better than. That's my guy. And he's my guy because he's proven himself to be. So it starts off with the 15-85%, but now like it's in the 50-50. It's the 65-45. It's waves, but I'm always his. He's always mine, right?
Mm.
And if I make way more money than he does, he's still the king of the house.
Woo!
When I walk,
Wow.
when I walk to,
Wow.
I get out of a cab to come home. I never have to go in my bag to get my keys. I ring the doorbell or I make a phone call. He opens the door for me just in case I go in my bag and someone come get me. And so there's a level of safety, there's a level of comfort, and there's a level of faith and trust and love that he has. And he's my guy. He's my friend. You know. So.
That's what's up.
But he don't tell me what to do.
You know, hold on, Chuck. You know, Chuck, hang on, Chuck.
That needs
Chuck,
to be
hold on.
that needs to be the bite. That needs to be the bite.
Yeah.
That's gonna bring
Nikki,
so much
you
to the
said-
subscribers. Right
Cool,
there.
cool.
Which,
You, Chuck, cool. What you talking about?
No. Chuck is giving good insight, good material to edit and cut and add to.
that right there. Steve.
But he doesn't tell me what to do, and he doesn't
Hang
tell.
on.
He doesn't regulate me. I'm in Atlanta at least 4 times a year. Am I not, Lou? I go to.
That's true. You
I'm
do your
in
thing.
Ballarat. Well, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm.
But you
I'm
know,
gonna say,
Nick, hold on. You know what, Nikki? That's some spelling shit. Because you talking about how he cooks for you and all that shit. See, my wife has tricked my ass into doing all the cooking, right? And it used to be,
sucker
I would,
for-
hold on, wait. It used to be I would cook and then she would clean up the kitchen, right?
Play the 8-ball right there. That's why you hear the 8-ball.
So, wait, hold
Why
on.
you do this?
Somewhere in the last
I'm joking.
few weeks, she didn't get to the point now where I cook and she don't clean. That's what she told me. They call niggas like that.
No, Colby. I'm saying, in her defense, man, Colby, listen, man, you have an amazing wife, and you said something on the last show, right? That
What's that?
the last episode, she gives you a lot of free reign to do you, right? And Carl, think about it. I could cook for the first lady and watch. What are you watching? Let's go. 3 plates and a couple of bowls.
Oh, we put this shit in the dishwasher, man. I'm talking about the fucking pots and shit. But yeah, I get your point.
You know what I'm saying, Colby? Come on, man. So we're talking about what? That's you know, we math guys. Quantify that. What? We're talking about 6, 7 minutes, 10 minutes.
I got you. But you know, like you said,
You know what I
she
mean?
does give me the ability to go out and and hunt, roam, Wakanda.
You have married
so
the best one for you in your life.
for me,
Facts.
damn right.
Real
Bro,
talk.
I feel you on
Michelle, we
the
love you,
part.
baby.
And the reality is that she may be the best person for you today. And there may be another day where she's no, just listen to me.
Forever, she gonna put me in the ground, baby.
Whoa. Let me
Reason,
step in for
season,
that.
lifetime. It's reason, season, lifetime.
Forever.
I know a lot of yes, we may always be forever. The relationships may change. God forbid, right? But sometimes when people get divorced, right, we make them feel bad because they're not a part of the club and they didn't make it. Life is like that, where everything is not supposed to always be the same, right? And some people come into your life for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. And there are times where that person was a great wife and a perfect person for me during this part of my life. No longer are they required or they need to be. And when you look at Paul, if you look at the book of Acts, he started out with a certain crew, right? Barnabas and all of them. Then it was Timothy. Then it was, and sometimes you got to come through. And you know what I'm saying? Some people come in your life and they might still be important, but not in the same way that they were. And
True.
What type of spiritual connection you have with your husband right now, currently?
He my guy. Like, and
What
that's
do
our guy.
you mean?
Huh?
I mean, when I asked that question, do you guys study together, or do you guys share the same views, or is it conversation about spirituality?
So we have conversations. We're both history people, right? Which is great because I'm a theological preacher. I like the early church. I like to look at stuff like that. So we connect there. He works at the church, right? I preach at the church, right? So he listens to my sermons before I preach. I'm not the pastor, but you know. And so because we work at the church, our prayer life, we do those separately. Our study life, we don't study together. I don't even know if he studies. And that's all right, because Moses didn't have a Bible. Neither did Jesus. You know what I'm saying? He has a relationship with God that I admire because he does things. He doesn't care about the hellfire, right? He does things because that's the right thing to do, right? So he operates with a connection to God that I learn so much more. Even when I'm reading the scriptures, I'm inspired by him living scripture, right? And so he and I vibe on that because I believe in the marginal. I believe in the people that hate going to church. I preach to them, you know? And so we sit and we talk about real life stuff, and we talk about charity. We talk about being generous of spirit, and we watch battle rap together, and he DJs for me, you know, like, and so our that's spiritual to me. So my spiritual practice is different than a lot of people because I'm never going to beat him in the head with the Bible, but by osmosis, he lives Bible through me, right? And so there's been plenty of time he'll remind me of a scripture that I think he wasn't listening to, right?
No.
Hold on, Chuck, chill. We gotta move the crop, dog. We gotta move the crop.
And actually, I've been silent because I've been learning a lot just listening to y'all.
He been learning shit.
Yeah, I actually have, man, and I'm glad.
Me too. Real talk. Me too. Nikki, thank you. Thank you.
One thing that she brought to the table that we had not talked about with marriage is the spiritual part. And you know, I can say, like, with respect to my own marriage, my wife is a very spiritual person, and I'm not. You know, I'm not as spiritual. I think it's important. I do believe in God and all that, but I'm not the same. I don't have the same foundation. I won't say I don't have the same foundation, but I don't have as strong a foundation as my wife does. And I think that spiritual connection that definitely needs to be there in a marriage in some form or another, not necessarily with God. It can be in other forms or what have you. So I say that, you know, just listening to everybody, I've been able to learn some perspectives that I hadn't really thought about. And especially, you know, Nikki talking about, one of the things she said was the 15% stability versus the 85% excitement. I wish we could talk about that a little bit more, because I think that's a conversation in and of itself. But in any event, man, to close it out, man, I think that we covered a lot. I think the general consensus is that we've all got many years in this game. We know what it takes, or we know the struggles that we all endure. And it is by no means over, right? We're only halfway there, wherever there is. And so hopefully we continue to work on our stuff. Hopefully we continue to be blessed to have marriages that will be prolonged. But it is sometimes it maybe not be in the cards for us, but that's okay. But I think that everybody, man, at the end of the day is blessed, man, because you at some point, including myself, have somebody who gives a shit about your ass. You know, y'all niggas shit stink. I've been around some of y'all niggas. Y'all niggas stink, man. And so if you got somebody that's out there and that actually gives a shit about your ass, man,
that's the key right there.
Absolutely, Jay.
That's the
Everybody
key.
shit stink.
Absolutely. Hey, that was a good uplifting word at the end, brother. Let me make sure I get WAP playing in the background again. Hey, first of all, to our first guest, Lil Nikki Philly, we love you, as you know, sis, and we really appreciate you coming on and blessing us today. Your insight was amazing, and your commentary was useful, and this is gonna be one of our best episodes. So I can't thank you enough for coming on today, and we appreciate your time. So hey, we done. Go out there. If you hadn't listened to WAP, get on it. You know what I'm saying? Hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll be back next week with another some more exciting content. Hey, you know, go to thehouse94.com, the House 94 podcast, IG, Twitter, shit, all of that. Go check it out. Give us our comments and let us know what you think. Let us know what you want to hear. And with that, Rue, we out.
Peace.
Grows, as the platform grows, when egos take over, it happens to Charlemagne the God. It's happened to several platforms that have grown. They have women involved, and they disrespect. They cross the boundary, and they disrespect the perspective of the woman and Black women. And we don't want to do that because we adore our Spelman sisters.
Indeed.
I think that's one of the things that made me even really want to be at least come on as a guest, is because even with the commentary, even with some of the like very, very male-oriented conversation, right? I understand that there is a level of safety that you guys have for Black women. And, when we in that Morehouse Spelman group on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
There's losers in there too. The overwhelming predominance are people who, if I was at Freaknik or if I was at Black Daytona Beach, Black House Weekend, I know if there's no other, my Morehouse brother's gonna get happy.
100.
Right? And so I think that even
you found a safe space. You out like that, yeah. Let
me tell you how we were walking in Daytona, and one of the girls was with us. She had real big breasts, had a bikini on though, and they bright orange. So we walked. This guy, we don't know him. She got them watermelon. She got them pumpkins. And he took his belt off, and he started spanking her, right? And y'all know Marcus Dawson?
Yeah.
Marcus came over there and was like, yo, and was ready to fight. And we didn't even know he saw us from the other side. He saw that shit and he just cut it out. And that was my freshman year. And that was before Freaknik. So I just knew from that space that I could go anywhere in the world. And if there's a Morehouse man there and they identify me, then I'm safe.